Vegas residents know hard work, but you don't have to do it all yourself. TaskRabbit has been helping locals in the Neon City for over a decade with everything from furniture assembly to minor home repairs. Don't let that to-do list ruin your weekend. Use the TaskRabbit app to describe what you need and find a skilled tasker in your neighborhood who can help take it off your plate. And the best part, transparent pricing. You'll see the hourly rate up front, which includes the tasker's rate and the service fee as well, so there are no surprises at checkout. So, download the TaskRabbit app or visit TaskRabbit.com today to get those home to-dos crossed off. What's up, Las Vegas? Happy Tuesday. You guys have come to know and love our Friday News Roundup. So today we're bringing it to you on a Tuesday and recapping some of the biggest stories of the early part of the week. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're here with award-winning journalist Michael M.J. Lyle of the Nevada Current and our creative producer Jacob Solis. And we're talking about why a man continues to sit in prison even after a judge says he shouldn't be there, why Roblox, the game your kids are probably playing right now, just got hit with a $12 million settlement in Nevada, and the end of an era for Las Vegas as yet another buffet on the Strip is closing for good. It's Tuesday, April 21st. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. All right, MJ, Jacob, how we doing, guys? Happy Tuesday.
Good morning. Going up on a Tuesday. Wow.
Happy Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. I know. I'm excited for the first Tuesday news roundup here on CityCast. Obviously, one of the more popular segments for us. So, just give us another time to dive into some really cool stories. And MJ, we'll start with you and dive into why Ricky Slaughter, after 22 years behind bars and after getting his conviction vacated in March, is still in prison. What's the deal there?
So Ricky Slaughter was convicted back in 2005, but then on March 3rd, his conviction was vacated. And on last week, a bunch of organizers, the ACLU, Mass Liberation, NAACP, all gathered to kind of call for his release. The district attorney's office indicated after the judge vacated his sentence that they would attempt to retry the case. I will actually go over a few details of the case of what the ruling found last March. One of the biggest things that they said was the fact that evidence was actually suppressed during the initial trial. Like actually a second pre-trial photographic lineup. None of the witnesses actually identified Slaughter. That actually never made it to the jury. And so that played a role in actually giving Ricky a fair trial. That was one of the many reasons that the judge vacated the sentence. But yeah, a lot of the activists, a lot of the civil rights lawyers, including the ACLU, are saying, you know what? 22 years is long enough to sit behind bars.
That's a long time.
Yes. And especially, so Ricky was also convicted of conspiracy to commit kidnapping and robbery and attempted murder. That's one thing that the activists have kind of pointed out too, like the fact that this wasn't even a murder case. Like, this was an attempted murder case. Yeah, these are terrible things. But one, the sentence was vacated. And two, it's been 22 years. So to go back and say, we're going to retry this just doesn't make any sense. And so that's why the community is trying to get some eyes on this and trying to push the DA's office back, push back against the DA's office to try to just get Ricky free and bring him home.
Yeah. And I do have one question though. Like, why would a DA's office resist honoring a judge's ruling that vacated the conviction? Like, isn't the DA bound to follow the court orders? I think you kind of touched on about the retrying factor there, but why exactly are they resisting?
So I'm not sure. So they have not responded to requests for comment. I've seen other outlets interview him for a variety of other things, but we have a hard time getting in touch with the district attorney over at Nevada Current.
Convenient. That's convenient, though.
Yeah, we even have video of him like running away from one of our reporters.
Wow.
Which is good. Yeah. But yeah, so we would love to ask him that question of why retry after 22 years and why actually prolong this anymore. Like, what is the benefit? What is the public safety response to this? But we do not know that answer. And so I don't know why the DA's office wants to retry this case and is so adamant, especially again, like when the judge found that previously this, not under DA's Wolfson tenure, but under the previous DA, that they suppressed evidence. So
I guess the takeaway there too, maybe you guys need to work on the speed, start hitting the track, maybe you can catch him when he starts running away from you.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, like let's get back to the point of your whole story too, was the rally. And after you left that rally, what were some of your biggest takeaways from your time there?
Actually, I will even go back further. I actually have met Ricky in person.
Oh, wow.
I did. Yeah. When I did reporting a couple summers ago about high desert prison and the extreme heat that they're feeling, because they have swamp quarters there. I actually went inside the prison and was able to experience the firsthand, and it was god awful. It was so hot inside.
No, I remember when I was at Channel 3 hearing about that story. That was insane. Like, yeah.
But Ricky was inside, and he had been not only chronicling the last like month of what people are experiencing in like great detail, but he was also kind of organizing a little bit to talk to other incarcerated people about like their experiences dealing with this heat. And so he was inside kind of rallying, and I've heard Ricky's name for the last few years as lawmakers have looked at criminal reforms. He has consulted with lawmakers. Like, he's been like a voice in the community. And so that's kind of, they brought that aspect of who Ricky is to the rally, saying like, not only as, again, the judge vacated his conviction, saying like he didn't get a fair trial, but like in the last 22 years, he's actually been a voice of reason to actually talk about the plight of incarcerated, to try to get changes at the state level. Like, he's the type of person that you want in the community, is kind of what people were talking about at this rally. And so
making lemonade out of lemons. Yeah, very clearly.
And then the other aspect of the rally I will put, and I put this a little bit in this article, like his sister was talking about the fact that while he was incarcerated, like he missed the death of both his parents. He didn't get a chance to like say goodbye. Like, there's been so much taken away. And so it does beg the question of, if the justice system is about, quote unquote, not just, it's supposed to be about rehabilitation and supposed to be about justice in fact, like, have we not gone past those two things in this case? And then there's another point too from the rally I'll take away is one of the organizers, Leslie Turner, was talking about accountability, like who gets held accountable in this situation. And she's saying it's always on the onus on the community to be accountable for justice. It's always on them. But when it comes time for the DA's office to be held accountable for mistakes, obviously that is written into this judge's ruling, there is no accountability. And so that was another takeaway about like it's on Ricky to be held accountable for what the DA's office did. So
that's crazy.
Well, and I wonder, so while this is going on, because the DA wants to retry this case, the judge's ruling has vacated the previous sentencing. So is Ricky Slaughter free in the meantime? How does that work?
That is a good question. He's still at High Desert Prison last I checked, I would say. And so I don't know if he'll be transferred if they do seek to retry him, or actually do go through with retrying, if they would transfer him to Clark County Detention Center during that time. I don't know how that process would work, but the fact of the matter is, even beyond the outrageousness of kind of his conviction again being overturned and him sitting inside, like, it is costly for us to just not only retry, but house another person at a time where the Department of Corrections is over and over again talking about how they're understaffed, they're blowing through their budget because they're doing overtime pay. They're at the process of closing 2 conservation camps because they don't have the funding to sustain this. And so, but we're talking about sending or having a lot of resources dedicated to housing a person whose, again, conviction was overturned by a district judge.
It is just kind of crazy because, you know, like you said too, like the DA obviously has a lot of questions that need to be answered, seems to be dodging some of them. So I just kind of wonder, the fact that he's running unopposed this year, does that affect kind of how he's being held accountable, especially in a case like whether or not to retry Ricky?
I will say I've actually covered the last couple DA's races, and he was not present really for when attorney and assembly member Ozzie Fumo challenged him. He didn't showed up to a debate. A Republican opponent did show up to the debate. And so he has not been making himself available for the past couple elections when he actually has not run. When he's won very much opposed, he's not showed up in those spaces to actually answer questions from the community and be held to account. And so I don't see any change now that he's unopposed. I will say, I will take note that last week, there was also news that he is also seeking the death warrants for 3 people that were convicted in the 90s. And so that's happening also. And I can't help but see the connections between like running unopposed, potentially retrying a case from 22 years ago, and now seeking death warrants for 3 inmates that were convicted in the 90s. And I cannot help but see like this interconnectedness that I would love to have him actually answer questions about, because it is wild to see this almost bloodthirstiness coming out of that district attorney's office. So
that would be what I would like to see, frankly, is just any explanation. Because, okay, sure, if the DA's office wants to retry Ricky Slaughter, they're allowed to want to do that. But it's also incumbent on the DA's office to explain themselves and why that's a good use of public resources or just serves justice at all. Because obviously, from what we've heard here, I have no idea how that could possibly be true. And it's outrageous to me that they're just not explaining themselves. The fact that there's these elections just don't even feel, I don't know what it is about the Vegas DA in particular that just feels that there's no public engagement about the races. I mean, I know we've seen DA's races in other major cities have more public salience. And obviously in San Francisco, it's a totally different animal. But like here in particular, I just feel like it's not a race that the public gets animated about. And even the way they might about like a city council race. So I think you're right, MJ. It's just, what a mess.
And in the meantime, it's Ricky Slaughter whose life kind of hangs in the balance of all this while we're to kind of debate all the policy and politics behind this. Like, it is a man who, once again, who sat behind 22 years, whose conviction was again overturned by a federal judge, who's just sitting in the balance of all of this.
Zenleaf Las Vegas is celebrating more than just 420. This year marks a major milestone, and Zenleaf Las Vegas is celebrating 10 years in the community with their All In at 10 anniversary event, running May 21st through May 30th. If you're waiting for the right time to come in and check out Zenleaf, this is it, guys, because over 10 days, they'll be featuring daily deals, in-store activations, and partnerships with 10 local organizations, with a portion of the proceeds supporting their impact right here in Las Vegas. It's their way of giving back to the community that supported them for the past decade. Now, whether you're stopping in for the deals, the experience, or just to see what's new, they're here to make it easy, convenient, and worth your time. And get this, if you're really in a hurry, make sure you check out their location off of Flamingo and Fort Apache, which has you covered with a drive-through pickup. How about that? Come find your Zen this 420. Learn more at zenleafdispensaries.com. This year, TEDx Las Vegas 2026 is exploring the theme of past, present, possible, looking at where we've been, where we are, and what's next. The two-day immersive experience includes tours, panels, experiences, and, of course, main stage talks with 19 speakers and performers. Located in beautiful downtown Las Vegas at the AC Hotel and Element Symphony Park, this year's speakers include leaders across art, science, business, and culture as well, giving us not just talks, but ideas designed to shift your perspective. These talks are designed as a fully immersive experience that goes beyond the stage, including art, community activations, and curated programming throughout the footprint. This event is coming soon, and tickets are limited, so use the code JOINUS, that's JOINUS, for $25 off. TEDx Las Vegas 2026, past, present, possible, May 2nd and May 3rd in downtown Las Vegas. Get your tickets now at TEDxLasVegas.org. Jacob, another very interesting story going on this week here. Every parent pretty much out there, knows this, and every kid in America knows about Roblox, the massively popular gaming platform that just reached a $12 million settlement with the state of Nevada. Explain to me what exactly is going on there.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So, as you said, Roblox, which is a gaming platform, more on that later, reached this settlement with the state of Nevada for a $12 million, I don't know if it's technically a judgment, if it's a settlement, but moving past the linguistics here, they're saying it's a first of its kind, which is sort of true. We're in this sort of brave new world of states and regulators suing these major tech companies, in this case Roblox, over specifically youth protections. And at issue here, Roblox at $12 million, about $10 million of which is going to go to groups like the Boys and Girls Club and other sort of physical world children's activities. Yeah. It's something. And also some sort of some like safety marketing campaigns and things like that, sort of getting parents to understand how Roblox works and how to keep their kids safe on it. Okay. Because here's the real thing is that Roblox is not a game per se. It is a platform for games, some of which are created by the company, some of which are created by users, many of which are created by users. And you can sort of interact with anybody. It is essentially a platform like a Facebook, like anything else would work.
Wild West.
It is the Wild West. A lot of it is anonymized. And I think for sort of the child safety advocates, the concern is that child predators do exist on Roblox, and they do pose as younger people and try and lure kids off of Roblox and onto Discord, where real life abuse can and has happened. Yep. So that's the real danger, and I think that's the concern from DA's office. But I think on the flip side, we have also seen concern that when Congress, for instance, has taken a look at child safety on online platforms, they have defaulted to using stuff like ID verification and things that sort of erode the foundation of a free internet. Like the idea that in order to like log into the internet, you're going to have to like scan your ID first. You won't be able to use a VPN, for instance, a virtual private network, to hide your IP address. There are lots of privacy concerns that I think this starts to address in a way, but you know, there's a lot of other lawsuits with YouTube, Meta, TikTok, bigger platforms, and frankly, congressional attention on this issue, that this is sort of only the beginning of what I think is going to be a wave of stuff like this.
Yeah, no, that is pretty wild. And I'm curious though, too, just like in terms of the age verification in general, like how actually is that going to work? Like what stops from these kids lying about their age and everything like that?
An excellent question. And right now it's literally like punching in IDs. Like essentially, if you don't have an ID that proves you're an adult, you are assumed to be a child.
Interesting. I mean, like, does that seem viable, MJ? Like, how do you wrap your head around that?
Yeah, my question on this is around the settlement. Like, because I know it's a $12 million settlement in lieu of litigation, but it almost seems like with big tech companies, from Tesla to social media companies, it almost seems like, one, these settlements compared to actually how much they're raking in the billions and billions of billions of dollars.
Hail in comparison by a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But two, like, is it just kind of that's almost the price of doing business, or the cost of doing business, to do these $1 million settlements that, might have some benefits, but don't kind of go to these overarching questions around accountability and like what type of legislation, what type of policies and regulations you need to instill to actually fully hold them accountable. And so, I think this is like kind of a good thing, but does it get to this deeper need? And I don't know what that is, the concern of like age verification tools, of what impact that does have on free speech. And so I don't know what the regulation looks like, but
just to add on to the age verification element of this, so as part of this agreement, apparently Roblox is going to implement a facial age estimation technology that will estimate.
I'm gonna say no on that.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So
for multiple reasons, but
some kids looking like they're 34 years old.
Oh yeah. Quoting the AP story here, adult users and users under 16 will not be allowed to chat unless they are communicating with a trusted friend. A trusted friend can be added through a QR code or their phone contacts to ensure the child knows the person outside the platform. Look, I don't love that. It feels like that's not maybe the perfect system, but in many cases there is no perfect system, and certainly that's why we're here, I think, in the first place.
Well, I think too, honestly, like this, I mean, all for, protecting the kids and everything, but like this is also a platform, like many others, social media, all that stuff that's, trying to capitalize on your attention and is perfecting how to steal your attention. I'm reading Scarcity Brain by UNLV's own Michael Easter, and so I'm a little more like in tune to this stuff right now. So this has triggered me a bit, because it's like, well, okay, yeah, you're protecting them, but at the end of the day too, you're still going to try and steal their attention any way you can and have them wrapped up in all these games, right?
It's true. And here, let me pivot real quick too, because something that's interesting is the sort of political angle of this, in that it's A.G. Ford, specifically a Democrat who's running for governor, coming to a big agreement on sort of this high profile case. But something that's interesting, as someone who's covered politics before, MJ, you know this, state AGs, half their job is just suing the federal government and suing corporations in partisan lawsuits. And they join onto these huge multi-state lawsuits. And a lot of the times the other party gets to be like, well, they're just doing partisanship from the legal office or whatever. And they're accused of bandwagoning. But what I'm curious is, okay, this is a settlement reached, I think, specifically by Nevada, not by other states. This wasn't a multi-state thing. I'm sure other states are suing Roblox actively. So is this part of a bigger trend? Are we going to see more single state settlements? Is Ford doing something here? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I think so. Like, maybe not with, like, I think it outright, I think we're going to see single state. I think we'll see a mixture. The notion, like, this is just partisan BS, like, it's so ridiculous. Like, I've seen a lot of op-eds criticizing Ford jumping in on lawsuits, but it's like, it's literally his job. This is what
Yeah.
the AG's office is supposed to do.
Yeah, like ask Adam Laxalt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like, okay, we're going to criticize the guy for like doing his job, but again, there is a balance of like, optics and everything like that. It's just such a tricky situation, I guess, to kind of, balance and everything. I think at the end of the day, though, we're all just hoping for our children of Nevada to, be, protected a bit more. And I guess ultimately, like, do you guys think this will make any sort of change, I guess, is the big question there.
Oof. Meaningful change, I think, will not happen until we look systemically around kind of the ways that our tech companies, the way social media companies are operating without any type of regulation, and can do anything essentially, and kind of just almost walk away with a slap on the wrist that pales in comparison to what their net worth is. And so I think any positive stuff is great, but if we really want the systemic, we have to look at a broader way to actually regulate this industry.
And stop them from taking advantage of kids in the first place, I'm so curious to see maybe what change this spurs. Again, a first of its kind thing. Hopefully some good does come out of it. Jacob, like you noted, $10 million of that settlement going and being reinvested into kids programs and stuff that will hopefully get them off the platforms a bit more and out in real life. I mean, I think ultimately that's what's going to help too long term. So we'll see.
The AG said touch grass.
Yes, and I think that's so key. I mean, like, look, when I was growing up as a kid, like, we were playing video games all the time, but you're out running around in the neighborhood and playing games, which I know sounds so much like I touch my grass, get off my lawn, but I think at the end of the day, get these kids outside more, get them playing more, and maybe spend less time, wrapped up in these games and stuff. And hopefully investing in those boys and girls programs will do just that. But obviously,
it also comes back to systemic issues. Like, I feel like...
Oh, yeah.
So I just recently turned 41. I am a curmudgeon too. Like, I get off my lawn, but like, I understand, like, live in a different society than that era where people were running out and touching grass. Like, the economics were different. Like, the public safety policies were different. Everything was a little bit different. And so, like, we can't just say, like, oh, these kids don't like know what they're doing because they're addicted to the games. Like, we've created the society for them, like, through the public policy that we have voted for, that we have supported. And so they're living in our decisions. And so we can't just like shake our fists at the sky and yell at them for living in the world that we essentially created for them.
But speaking of, childhood things and kind of, ripping them away from you or how things have changed, at least for me as a kid, like one of the things I loved about coming to Las Vegas was running and going to the buffets and like stuffing my face. And so I felt like I was going to pop. And now there's one less place that we're going to be able to do that. If you're a buffet fan, this one's going to hurt a little more for you, all right? The MGM Grand Buffet is closing its doors for good after May 31st, which is coming up sooner than you think, about just over a month away. MGM didn't offer up any reason for why they decided to close the buffet there, but it is following a trend that we've seen develop over the years with many of the hotels on the Strip shuttering their buffets as well. And according to casino.org, this now leaves us with only 7 active traditional buffets on the Strip, which begs the question, does Las Vegas losing these buffets kind of hurt our identity?
That's a good question. I mean, I grew up in Vegas, and so like we did go to buffets, like off strip buffets, like
the off strip buffet was the play.
Yeah, and it's funny because I knew because the rationale around COVID was going to kill the buffets. So it's funny that there are some that are still hanging around. I don't know. I feel like our identity as a town has changed and evolved so many times that I don't know what losing the buffet will do it. I do hold to the nostalgia. Like, I remember even like in the movie, like Vegas Vacation, like them going to like the $1 buffet and like, like it is so much iconic, true. But I don't know how it is going to shape our identity.
Yeah, I feel like the buffet exists in the mind as maybe something that it isn't. Like the buffet always like feels more affordable than it is, and like you're I'm gonna get one over on the casino because I'm gonna eat more than I paid for, but you never do. Like
that's my approach. I do, Jacob. I do.
Well, okay, but it's like the house always wins, so it's like the buffet's got to make money somehow. But
are you a smart buffet goer, Jess?
At least I would like to think that I am. I'm the guy that like I always walk into like whether it's a buffet or like an all-you-can-eat sushi joint where I'm like, oh man, they hate to see me coming in here.
You got to min-max the filet mignon. But for me, I was also, as a child of Las Vegas, for my straight A luncheon in middle school, we would go to the Green Valley Ranch buffet. And so that is my that is my like buffet memory. But I do feel like in modern Vegas, there's such a focus on like the luxury element, even in like non-luxury spaces. So that is translated into fine dining experiences. It's always been fine dining, but like ultra fine dining, especially on the Strip. And that is the trend. And with fine dining, you get ultra high margins, just like everything else. And so you need fewer customers. You do not need the volume that a buffet brings. And frankly, on a casino floor, a buffet takes up a huge amount of space. And so that it almost feels like this practical, like the casinos are looking at it and it's like, well, what else could we do with the buffet space? And, if the answer is 3 crazy James Beard Award winning restaurants, then why not? We'll just close it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. For me, I think it loses part of the identity just because, again, like that was my Vegas growing up as a kid. Again, I'm originally from California, but coming out here and visiting, like I always looked forward to stuffing my face at those buffets and everything. And again, we've seen these food halls really, take hold now recently. That seems to be the trend a lot of places, which I get. I guess it's kind of like a buffet light. You pick your poison where you want to go, and maybe you bounce around to a couple, but you don't feel like, I guess, ignorantly me thinking, I'm gonna get my money's worth. I'm gonna show them one of the few places where you can walk away and leave. And again, I just think that's such a Vegas thing. For me, at least, my experience with it. It
does feel like a gamble. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it kind of does, right? Yeah, and I mean, you walk out like feeling like you're going to explode. I guess this also like brings up a question too of like, is there a way that we could kind of revive, I guess, the buffet business model? And we want to approach this from a funny way. So I'm curious, like wrong answers only of how we could go about doing that.
Well, this is obviously a correct answer, but what I want is the sushi conveyor belt things. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine a buffet style sushi conveyor belt, essentially, but like huge platters, like the buffet, like giant serve yourself thing. So you have the plate and you just got to grab as it's going. Yeah. So this is a full contact sport. But you're sitting down. This is my vision, and it's perfect. Someone give me the money to do
it. Ooh, I like it. MJ, do you have an idea?
I don't know about like the food wise, but why don't we just really lean into like Vegasness, and like the buffet is like run by actually like Vegas icons like Magic Mike and Showgirls, and like really lean into it. Like, you want a Vegas buffet? We're gonna give you a Vegas buffet, and like have like all the Vegas iconography and all the like figures, like magicians, like appearing like hordes of mashed potatoes out of thin air. Like, let's like lean into this buffet. Like, the food will still be but like the experience is gonna be spectacular.
That just seems like the Strip in general, though. Let's crank up the experience. The food can be questionable at a lot of spots, and the tourists won't care. You know what I mean? Distract them with the shiny lights. Yeah. I think for me, I would go back and kind of lean into both of your guys' there. But for me, I guess my way to get around the whole buffet is just open up more all-you-can-eat sushi spots or all-you-can-eat spots off-Strip, I guess. I don't know, that doesn't necessarily help solve the problem down there on the Strip. But, or even on the Strip, bust out some of these like high quality, all you can eat sushi spots or things like that balance, being able to stuff our faces and that whole part of it. And also like with the Strip experience. So I guess that kind of leans more in line with what you said there, MJ, which I think is just so curious. I hope all the buffets don't disappear, because that would make me sad. But again, we can still lean on the all you can eat spots, which I do far too often. My girlfriend constantly tempts me with, hey, you want to go get sushi tonight? Or I'm like, no, don't do this to me. But anyway, guys, that was a fun conversation. We appreciate the input, diving into some serious topics and also having a little fun at the end. So thank you guys for your time today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
All right, that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, and leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter as well. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, take care.